This YouTuber called the cops crying about a kidnapping, but forgot to mention that she planned it.
A dangerous conspiracy fueled by an unquenchable thirst is discovered.
So much of her behavior was attention-seeking.
She said, I can make anybody believe anything. I'm an actress.
There are a few stories that I come across that are this insane, and this happened a few years ago, but I recently found out about the situation. And honestly, it is just so wild that I had to talk about it, because picture this: a crying mom on the phone, tied up in her bedroom, telling her family that masked men broke into her house and kidnapped her husband. That's how this story starts. But the massive twist here is that the so-called victim was actually the one behind the whole thing. And this is the real story of Samantha Wolford, a small-time YouTuber, a mother of 5, and a woman who tried to play both victim and mastermind and failed spectacularly. I mean, this couldn't have gone any worse for her. And this is one of those clear cases where it's like, yeah, congratulations, you made your own bed, and now you have to sleep in it for the rest of your life. So back in the early 2010s, Samantha ran a YouTube channel about her everyday life as a young mom in Texas. Her videos were the kind of stuff that you would kind of see on any mom vlog. They included stuff like pregnancy tests, tired rants, life updates, and overall just talking about raising 5 kids, struggling financially, and wanting a better life. And people connected with that.
That's a rough life to lead, dating somebody or being married to somebody that's going overseas. That's hard.
Right now is not a good time for me to be pregnant. Not to mention I was taking birth control, so I didn't think it could be positive. I bought some of those clear blue pregnancy tests that say pregnant or not pregnant so you can tell for sure. That's a little, yeah. No, I'm not exactly excited about this.
She had a little following, and the following gave her something that she always wanted: attention. At home, though, things weren't picture perfect, which tends to be the case for people who crave attention, the way Samantha at least did. And at the time, she was married to a guy by the name of Ernest Lee Ibarra, who went by Ernie. We know from her videos that the money was tight, stress was high, and the relationship was starting to break down. She told people that Ernie was abusive. Ernie's family completely denied this, and what's clear is the marriage was in bad shape. And Samantha, she wanted out. But instead of, I don't know, leaving, divorcing her husband like any normal person would do in a bad marriage, she decided to come up with a very different plan. So on the night of February 20th, 2015, Samantha calls her mom in panic. She says masked men broke into her house, tied her up, and kidnapped her husband. When Samantha's mom got onto the call, she didn't dial 911. Instead, she called her sister, Ginger, who then rushed over to the house like she was going to do something about it. And I guess when Ginger received the phone call to go to the house about this entire situation, she didn't call 911 either. She just ran straight to the house. So she was the first person on the scene. And she found Samantha tied up upstairs with her hands and feet bound, and the kids, they were all sleeping in their room. So before untying her, Ginger then checked on the children, then grabbed her phone, and she was the one who finally called 911. In other words, while Samantha claimed to be in full-on panic mode, it was Ginger who actually got the police involved.
County 911, what's your emergency?
I have a home invasion. My niece is tied up. I am at the verge of untying my niece at this particular moment. You have 5 small infants asleep.
5 small infants asleep?
Yes, ranging from 7 to 1.
7 to 1 years old?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Samantha. I know you're upset, but I'm going to ask you a couple questions. Do you need EMS?
No, they didn't do anything to me. They hit me once.
They hit you in the face?
Yeah, they had me tied up and they dragged me downstairs to face my husband. And when my husband went in to face me, they hit me in the face, backhand slapped me, and so he looked at me then, and they said, I thought that would get your attention, and I want you to stare at this woman. Do you want us to kill her? And he said no, and they said, then tell us the truth, and he said, I don't know anything.
So that's just a detailed answer to asking if she's hurt. The cops show up, the door's been kicked in, they've got ropes on her hands and feet, and something is clearly off. For one, nothing in the house is trashed. No signs of any real struggle, no valuables were stolen, and her car's gone. So that would mean if her story was to make sense, Ernie just basically left with these guys without putting up any fight, and there was no struggle involved with her either. And not only that, the kidnappers would have just gotten Samantha's car keys without having to search the place. Almost like they would have known where they were. So she then tells the police that she was tied up, she couldn't call 911, so she used her face to call the last number on her phone, her mom. Now, I'm not the one to really sit here and doubt her facial agility, but that sounds off to me. Like, come on. So 2015, that would be probably an iPhone 5, right? iPhone 6? iPhone 6? The iPhone 6 came out then. Did we have, no, we didn't have facial scan to open the thing. They only had they had the touch print. Okay, so she somehow did the whole, while she was tied up, did the whole thing on her face. I don't have my phone's not even on me. So picture this fine bar of a cheeky body soap, future sponsor by the way, is my phone. I mean, not my phone, is her phone. So she somehow, instead of, using her face to unlock it, if she was laying up tied, I'm trying to play this out here. She somehow got over to it. She didn't have her hand, so she, like, I guess unlocked her phone with her nose or something like that, and then I guess called her mom. I mean, maybe it's possible. No, okay, it's possible, but still, doubtful. There's so much more wrong with the story, so that's not the only big thing, but still interesting. But the detectives, they were skeptical as well, because they asked how she could unlock her phone and dial. And that's when she slipped up. She changed her story. First, it was, I used my face. Then it became, I just called the first number I saw. That tiny little contradiction was the crack in the story that started everything. Cops then started poking around. She said that she didn't know the kidnappers, but then hours later, she suddenly remembers. Oh wait, she does know them. In fact, they were driving her own Chevy Equinox. Okay, so obviously that's not a great look. So then she named the men, Jonathan Kyle Sanford, Antonio Jose Ponce, and a guy named Octavius Lamar Rhymes. All three of these guys had criminal records, and all three of them were caught fast, and two of them were literally found at a hospital. And when they got picked up, one of them just immediately gave up everything.
Samantha is the ringleader. Samantha is the one, and I can prove this. I don't believe me. As God is my witness, all you have to do, you could take you and 15 of the officers. I don't.
Yeah, he just straight up told the cops immediately Samantha was the one who set it all up. That's exactly why you don't hire people to kidnap your husband or anyone at all. And then to make things worse, Samantha had been venting to one of these guys saying Ernie was controlling and abusive, and instead of just telling her to get a lawyer or file for divorce, they cooked up whatever you want to call this plan. Like the fact that they were caught immediately and they gave it all up, it was like she hired the Home Alone villains to do her dirty work for her. But the kidnapping was not the original plan. The original plan was actually to plant drugs in Ernie's car and get him arrested. That's how low the bar was. But then for some reason they thought it was a better idea to kidnap him and end his life instead. So yeah, clearly we're covering complete morons here. So Samantha then agreed to leave the front door unlocked, and she made sure her kids were asleep. And this is the crazy part. They had multiple kids together, and she still does this to their father. And she let the kidnappers use her car. So that night, 3 men broke in, dragged Ernie out of bed, beat him, tied Samantha up for show, and took Ernie away. They drove him to a wooded area in Camp County, Texas, not even 200 feet away from the woods, and then Jose ended Ernie's life. All because this woman could not just simply file for a divorce. But the thing about this plot was, it didn't stay secret for a while, because obviously investigators found messages from Samantha and the guys saying in quote, kill his phone, shut that shit down, ditch the phone, move. So totally not suspicious. She deleted him from her phone, but one of the guys didn't delete it from theirs. And that was the nail in the coffin. After the arrest, cops went back to Samantha. At first, she tried to play innocent, but it didn't hold up against actual evidence because this absolute moron was with the men the day before it all went down. She gave them her car. She left the door open. I mean, she basically did everything a person can do to show that they're guilty. Her, I was a victim too, that story's gone. That was completely out the window. Now she's just some evil moron who I guess is dumb, sloppy, and cruel. And they lost their legal battle quick because Jonathan Sanford and Jose Ponce pled guilty. They got 50 years each. Octavius Rhymes went to trial and he got 75 years for murder plus 23 years for kidnapping. And Samantha, the YouTuber who claimed that she was the victim, she was found guilty of kidnapping and murder, and she got 50 years for kidnapping and 99 years for murder. The judge then ordered the sentences to be served back to back, so there is no chance she's ever getting out. And this case didn't go viral like other true crime stories, but it's one of those, I can't believe she thought this would be a decent idea to do. How would this ever work? Like, she staged a kidnapping in the worst way possible. She called her mom instead of 911. She used her own car. She texted the kidnappers, and she lied a lot. And now the victim is doing more than a lifetime behind bars. Getting a divorce is hard, but doing all of that and destroying everyone's life in the process is way harder. And apparently, she was documenting so much of this chaos in her family on YouTube. And the more chaos that was in her personal life, the more eyes she had on her. And then I guess in her mind, the whole thing, the fake kidnapping, the crying call, and the performance was just another way to make herself the center of her own story. Because I guess Samantha didn't just want to get out of marriage, she wanted a spotlight. And in the end, all this didn't get her famous, it just got her life in prison. And I guess a spot on the Influencer Hall of Fame of morons. Because Samantha Walford, she thought that she could fool everyone, but one sloppy lie and a couple text messages made sure that she couldn't. So I guess that's just another story of committing violent crimes only makes your life infinitely worse. So, let's chill out and just not do that. Obviously, I'm sitting here stating the obvious. Any sane person wouldn't do that. You have to be off your rocker to even come up with this plan to begin with. And unfortunately for Ernie here, he married someone who was. So I guess I'm just going to leave you guys with a little bit of a tragic ending here. I'm sorry about that, but I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video, and hopefully it's not as depressing.